Extra, that much-reported, high-profile partnership between OpenAI's Sora platform and Disney, which was announced last December, seeing Disney pledge $1 billion of investment to OpenAI and plan a two-way partnership that'd allow Sora users to legitimately generate content featuring Disney IP and theoretically integrate some form of video generation into the Disney Plus platform, has collapsed. Not only does that billion-dollar investment seem to have been cancelled, OpenAI has pulled away from generative video products across the board, outright shuttering the public-facing Sora app altogether in a shock move. But hey, let's not throw any blame around. None of us could possibly have observed that the financials didn't make any sense, predicted that this partnership wasn't all it was cracked up to be, that all these companies were really trading was market hype, that it might not last, that Sora wouldn't even necessarily still be operating by the end of the deal's term, and oh my god, what's that? It's coming right for me! The real story isn't the story that's being reported. Pretending for a second that Sora and OpenAI will be properly functioning in 3 years' time, Disney are hedging their bets. AI gets part of their expenses paid for 1 month, once, and they get this with some pretty heavy strings attached. That's a video I made back in December, immediately after news of the deal broke. It was a supporter exclusive video, that's why most of you won't have seen it, but yeah, I called the fuck out of this. I'm not gonna do a full play-by-play of that video here. Like all my exclusive videos, you can watch it with any level of Patreon or YouTube pledge, so if you're interested, it is a very short paywall. But for a summary, let me quote from my conclusion in that video. I said that this groundbreaking deal was basically just an opportunity to pass a bit of money around and for Disney to soft commit to one limited engagement with AI video on their terms for now. And yeah, barely 3 months in, now has become then. What happened? Well, OpenAI head honcho Sam Altman's story, per The Information, is that video generation was hogging too many of the company's compute resources. But, as the Wall Street Journal observes, the move away from video generation happens to come in advance of OpenAI's planned IPO. For context, OpenAI is compulsively secretive and misleading when it comes to releasing statistics of any kind, really, as we've talked about before on this channel, but never more so than when it comes to money. In AI critical circles, it is widely speculated that if Altman's men aren't outright cooking the books, they are at least hiding the real extent of their expenses. See this reporting from Ed Zitron late last year, linked below. But after a company goes public, their ability to mislead the public about matters like these shrinks dramatically. So really what this looks like is a dysfunctional company making reckless moves to stem their financial bleeding before the house lights come on. Sora was a PR win for OpenAI when it launched last year. Closing it down, spinning down practically all of the company's video generation capacities, is an even bigger PR hit. So the real question is, how much more money than we're even aware of must have been set on fire to justify that hit? I mean, it shouldn't be a shock that reaching new magnitudes of money wasting was the only real innovation Sora ended up making. OpenAI haven't managed to reach AGI or even build a chatbot that knows how many R's there are in the word strawberry, but the one thing they have always excelled at is burning cash. And I guess ruining the lives of African data workers, they're pretty good at that too. And if that's something you struggle with, even if you're not the head of a tech company, maybe you could do with checking out today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Their app has a whole bunch of features all designed to help save money and track expenditures. So say you're a guy, let's call you Clam Oldman, and you can't figure out why your expenses are so high. Rocket Money's subscription management feature shows you all your regular payments at a glance. You can even cancel subscriptions within the app with just a few taps. You know, for all of you guys watching this who were only keeping your streaming memberships active in the hope of being able to one day generate slop of yourself next to your favorite licensed character. Or hey, there's even the app's dashboard, which combines all your checking accounts and savings and loans into one simple feed. That'll help you get all your ducks in a row. So again, even if you're not a big tech CEO, you can get Rocket Money for free at rocketmoney.com/pillarofgarbage. You also get a free premium trial when you sign up with that link, or by scanning the QR code on screen now. Big thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video, but let's start with the I told you so's. So one idea I kind of hammered in that first video that I think has now been roundly vindicated is the emptiness of this whole situation. Because sure, it's a mess now. Sure, there's enough egg on enough faces all around to cook up an omelette that'd weigh a ton, but pretend it's still last week, before the news dropped. Or pretend it's a month ago. What did the deal mean then? No less than it does now, right? At the risk of awakening my inner chud, nothing ever happened. No AI video feature came to Disney+, and Sora's capabilities weren't expanded either. Sure, after the announcement, you could generate shorts featuring Disney IP, but you could do that before, too. Here's a video my arch-enemy, the Rap's Roger Cheng, tweeted of himself in an X-Wing, pre-deal. Last December, then, Hollywood trades and tech media spun out for days, generating the kind of publicity that money simply cannot buy, benefiting all involved parties immensely because two companies agreed to pay each other indeterminate amounts of money in exchange for the whitelisting of a few phrases on the Sora backend, and as has now been confirmed, literally nothing else. Like the man said, the story is that contemporary economics is a fever dream, entirely detached from the reality of the public, and that money is only real if you're poor. Another point I made 3 months ago was that, by and large, press coverage was underemphasizing or missing entirely the one actually significant aspect of the Disney Sora deal, an aspect that could go on to matter even after the licensing deal expired or fell through. If you'll forgive me quoting myself real quick one more time, if this establishes a legitimate way for video tools to engage with IP, the corollary of that is to delegitimize the rest of the ways. That is, the norm this kind of deal set, that so far as industry big dog Disney was concerned, the proper way for generative AI platforms to engage with the copyright laws they routinely flout, whose flouting, in fact, those platforms are all but built on, is via licensing, via payment, that the bright young things of big tech don't get to play outside the rules indefinitely. And that doesn't go away with Sora. As I observed, this was sort of the point, even back in December. Disney sent a cease and desist to Google over their AI's habitual copyright infringement the same day they announced the Sora deal. In the words of one site who did spot this, Engadget, "You'll likely see a lot of opinions on how this legitimizes AI video, and while that's true, far more important is the fact Disney has secured a seat at the table to decide how the technology evolves over the coming years." It's worth our noting that Big AI's position has only grown weaker since then, too. In early March, the US Supreme Court declined an appeal that sought to establish copyright on AI-generated images. This is a case that was first rejected 4 years ago, it's true, but given how far generative AI has penetrated the mainstream since then, there is undoubtedly a significance to the court's decision to remind the plaintiff that computer programs aren't artists. The guy corn-cobbed about it pretty hard to tech site CNET afterwards, which isn't super relevant here, but is funny. The long and short of it then is that this deal, this landmark deal, this major deal, might have changed the landscape of AI in entertainment, but for the better. OpenAI's credibility boost is gone, but the red tape it brought with it seems likely to remain. The Hollywood Reporter article that broke this news quotes a Disney spokesperson, and the quote's main function is to evidence the idea that Disney isn't necessarily done with the idea that the company could ink a deal with another AI giant, but let me read this out for you. "We appreciate the constructive collaboration between our teams and what we learn from it, and we will continue to engage with AI platforms to find new ways to meet fans where they are, while responsibly embracing new technologies that respect IP and the rights of creators." Emphasis mine. Would have been nice, I guess, if the Hollywood Reporter had picked up on that side of the statement. They don't, and this soft touch is kind of in keeping with the strangely deferential tone of the rest of the article. Earlier on, it tells us that the standalone Sora app was a casualty of OpenAI's evolving ambitions, which is a frankly bizarre way of saying, even though they have all the money in the world, OpenAI still couldn't afford to keep their AI TikTok app running, couldn't figure out how to make it piss less money blood, and couldn't even figure out how to keep people interested in this supposed miracle product. Actually, I guess that is a bit wordy, isn't it? But there is a lot of squirrely, equivocating language in the reporting around this. One particularly tortured construction showed up in my email inbox yesterday from The Wrap. OpenAI is prepping for a big initial public offering in the fourth quarter, and likely needs to invest more time in areas that actually generate revenue. Guys, you're allowed to say they messed up and they're wasting a lot of money. We can say it. You can't help but wonder if the press is trying to minimize the sound of this fuck up now in order to make their prior positions seem less misguided. You know, if this isn't a huge predictable mess now, then the media wasn't that wrong about it back in December. Wait, they were wrong about it back in December? Pillar of garbage, do tell. Let's stick with The Hollywood Reporter for now. Their writer Steven Zitron penned a positively awful fluff piece for the outlet in the wake of Disney's announcement, which I think gives today's reader a good sense of how news of the deal was generally received, assuming the move was a business masterstroke from all parties, the first step to a predestined future of AI entertainment. Can something be expected but huge, the article asks? Yeah, elephant showing up to his doctor's appointment. I'm gonna cut that one out. It then labels the deal the most inevitable bombshell around. Much of the article that follows is Zitron uncritically repeating Disney's fantasy PR. Viewer insert movie scenes as an imminent game changer for the streaming industry. You want to crouch at a race starting line next to a character from Cars, as a Disney sample showed? Your moment is here. We're about to be inundated on Disney Plus with everyone making their own content to type or likely soon speak a character into your own personalized story. Yeah, buddy, any day now. While Zitron entirely misses that norm-setting aspect of the deal, the only part still relevant 3 months on, he does include a section weighing up OpenAI. Are they a force for good or bad within this sector, that sort of thing, but I think there's a chance he cooked it up in ChatGPT because it's fucking gobbledygook. I mean, can the place of Mickey Mouse and the Magic Kingdom really be leading us down an apocalyptic path? For all the ways Disney's move sullies it with creatives in Hollywood, OpenAI's new partner does the opposite, gives it massive cred in Silicon Valley, and really around the world. How un-American can Sam Altman be if Disney loves him? Let nobody say The Hollywood Reporter is not even-handed though. Critique of OpenAI follows. Their LLMs have weird names. Crucially though, there's still room for Zitron to pull it back. The article ends asking the billion-dollar question: will this work? The part nobody knows. Legit nobody. All this supply, in a very strange inversion of everything you learned in freshman microeconomics, is coming before any evidence of demand. Will speaking characters into action be a novelty or a mainstay, a paradigmatic way of interacting with screens, or just a passing diversion that will turn this deal cringe in short order? Will it be TikTok or MySpace? The bet feels like the former. People love these characters, and the stuff you could do with them is elastic and eye-opening. But nobody really knows. Iger's billion will soon help us find out. Well, I guess call me Millennial Odysseus, because hi, it's me, legit nobody. I knew. This is such a delicious block of text to me because it just barrels straight into the Emperor's new clothes of it all. Oh, there's a ton of supply being spun up before any real demand. Could this be a blunder of galactic proportions? No, it's basic economics which is wrong. It's made funnier, I think, by the fact that Zitron was featured on a THR Roundtable article after the deal collapsed, seemingly unable to figure out why Sora was abandoned. Even if it's a cash-centric issue, I just don't understand how you spend so many billions building something and then ditch it before it could become a business and start to really spin off revenue. Something is not adding up. Yes, Steven, it's the numbers that don't add up. Generative video costs more to produce than Sora could ever have brought in. But hey, maybe that's just my bottom miner mindset. Maybe the magical freshman microeconomics reversing diamonds are but a pickaxe swing away. Anyway, it wasn't just The Hollywood Reporter. As we explored in that first video, the rap too had a characteristically off-piste piece, and you don't have to look far at all to see this same sentiment echoed across major publication after major publication. That's not to say no journalists read the plainly visible writing on the wall. The Verge's Charles Pulliam Moore, for instance, penned a characteristically canny piece that drew attention to OpenAI's financial problems and pointed to the naked emperor that was Sora's still kinda sucky capabilities. When you take an honest look at what Sora AI is and how Disney's past experiments with generative AI have gone, the article goes, it's clear that this is all going to end very, very stupidly. Slate too had a decent article, how Disney got hopelessly lost in the AI slop, which called Disney's then recent AI moves a bit confused, contradictory, and highly concerning. While Nitish Palwa didn't pull up the deal's weird circular-ish financing or put that $1 billion figure into its farcical context the way coverage like mine or The Verge's did, and did predict that the Disney Plus ensloppening would actually come to pass, largely this piece is a rightfully critical one. But there's no two ways about it. Pieces like that were thin on the ground 3 months ago, despite weird vibes so clear that even a jamoke like me could call them out. And I think that's kind of a bigger deal than the deal falling through. Because this should never have been a shock to anyone. We shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. The tide of AI slop isn't going anywhere just yet. I can't even copy a URL from Chrome without the new UI begging me to ask my browser about the web page it's showing me. No thanks. I think I'll, look at it with my eyes. Is that alright? That okay? That okay, fucking Larry Page or whoever the fuck runs your stupid further evidence that we still exist within this hell? Last week, someone asked the Nvidia CEO when AGI is coming, and he said it already had. So that'll be another 300 billion to them. God forbid any of us try to read a PDF. All this to say, the Disney OpenAI collapse is very unlikely to be the domino that triggers this bubble's eventual burst. Now what could be, and I'm just spitballing here, is if, for some reason, cost for energy and components and shipping shot up in price and stayed high for the foreseeable future, exacerbating those already existing cash flow problems and further reducing the patience of investors. But I'm sure nothing like that would ever happen, and I'm also sure that if it had done, if that were all happening right now, I would have heard about it. Probably. I don't read a ton of news these days. It gives me a tummy ache. Oh, holy fuck. But anyway, I wanted to take a couple of days out from working on the big video essay I've spent most of March plugging away at to make this because, A, coverage of AI by the wider media sphere still tends toward breathless, amnesiac gish gallops of positivity. Make no mistake, this failure will be all but forgotten the next time Sam Altman tweets another big number or Dario Amodei announces he's marrying Claude or whatever. So I think there's always value in a piece like this just existing, to link to AI evangelists in a blue sky argument, or to just jog your memory when it pops up on your sidebar in 3 months' time. But also because B, taking a victory lap is fun, sue me. And since that first video was behind my supporter paywall, I figured I'd probably have to give me these flowers myself. Like how the Daredevil video eating algorithmic shit meant nobody gave me props on the bum-ass soundtrack pieces I made for it. But that's fine, I'm more than happy to toot my own horn. And hey, if you want to help me toot it too, why not sign up with a Patreon or YouTube membership? You get bonus videos, which are often far less dry and far more interesting than the one I've been talking about here, and you get a better way to follow what I'm up to and, other stuff too. Huge thank you to everyone already on board, especially Birding Baddie, Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Deathstrick HQ, Harry Price, Kwang Yu Liu, Nothings, Something Capitalism Bad, Stephen Van Doren, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy.